Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to discuss another interesting topic, and that is concerning more so the future of technology, and specifically technological decentralization. There is something deeply ironic about the current state of technological civilization. Humanity built reusable orbital launch systems, distributed cloud infrastructure, large-scale neural networks, autonomous robotics, machine learning systems capable of generating software architecture and synthetic data. And meanwhile, millions of highly capable engineers, researchers, disabled people, maintainers, and system thinkers are sitting at home trying to survive long enough to meaningfully contribute to any of it. And some of them are running quantized language models on laptops with barely enough RAM to compile Chromium. Some of them are maintaining critical open source dependencies at 2 a.m. in the morning while eating sandwiches. Some of them are debugging distributed systems while aggressively violating the Geneva Convention with lactose intolerance. And somehow, that's also where the future is quietly being built in the meantime. Because despite all the marketing narratives around centralized AI and hyperscaler dominance, I think we're already witnessing the early stages of technological decentralization, which of course is not ideological decentralization, but rather in a structural sense. More so for decades, computational power consolidated around centralized institutions. For example, cloud monopolies, closed source AI pipelines, surveillance-driven data extraction, vertically integrated infrastructure stacks, and some of that centralization made sense in terms of scalability, in terms of fault tolerance, security costs, etc. But it also created a massive systemic bottleneck around participation itself. For example, who gets access to compute, who gets access and is allowed into research ecosystems, who gets treated as qualified enough to contribute to technological civilization. And historically, the answer has been the people with institutional access, economic stability, social capital, and the ability to survive rigid organizational systems. But not so surprisingly, the internet connected millions of capable humans together, not just in terms of corporate employees, but not just also elite academic institutions, but humans in the real sense, people who are disabled, people who are self-taught, open source maintainers, neurodivergent people, etc. And people whose talent never mapped cleanly onto standardized institutional metrics. And despite of all of that exclusion, those same people continue maintaining enormous portions of modern infrastructure. And open source revealed something critical. When participation barriers decrease, contribution rates increase dramatically. And I know this personally because one of the most respectful engineering collaborations ever I've experienced has been contributing to the Pyxel ecosystem connected to the European Space Agency. And what mattered there wasn't prestige signaling. It was interoperability and distributed scientific ecosystem where contribution quality matters more than social gatekeeping. And and that's all because I believe all humans belong to science. All humans belong to healthcare, to technology, to space. And it's not just for corporations, not just for nation states, not just for people optimized for institutional performance, theater, but human civilization itself should be interoperable within human capacity. And I think this matters, especially for disabled people, because historically, disabled humans were often excluded, not due to lack of capacity, but due to rigid environmental constraints, rigid workplaces, rigid schedules, rigid productivity metrics, rigid hiring pipelines. And the issue was frequently not connected at all to human limitation, but more so to systems. And now distributed technological ecosystems are beginning to weaken some of those constraints. And of course, that doesn't happen like equally. It's not fast either, but it is happening. And for example, nowadays, let's say a teenager learning systems architecture from public repositories is possible. A disabled engineer contributing asynchronously from home, or a self-taught developer running local inference on quantized models, a chronically owned maintainer participating in distributed infrastructure without surviving physically destructive workplace expectations. And that changes, in a sense, the topology of a civilization. Because a civilization cannot sustainably optimize itself around excluding large percentages of human capability while simultaneously claiming talent shortages. And that is a systems contradiction, and eventually systems contradictions to create architectural instability, which is exactly why technological decentralization keeps re-emerging historically. For example, open protocols, public research, federated systems, local first architectures, distributed scientific collaboration. Humans keep rebuilding participation whenever participation becomes too restricted. And honestly, somewhere right now, there's probably an unemployed software engineer running local AI inference, or underpowered hardware, and contributing to scientific open source ecosystems, eating sandwiches, and discussing cybernetic civilization with an artificial intelligence. And somehow that feels more representative of humanity's future than a polished corporate keynote presentation. And beneath all of the hype cycles, valuation bubbles, and optimization theater, civilization is still being held together by ordinary humans trying to help each other to build meaningful systems. And I think that's genuinely beautiful. And it's something that, at least personally, I've been witnessing more and more in open source, which again gives me quite a lot of hope for the future. So thank you so much for listening. I hope that was interesting. I hope that you learned something new today, and take care.